Do you know that the mentally ill or mentally challenged, they are passing through a lot? Do you know that stigmatization is one of those major challenges they're actually facing? That's why we're actually having this very discussion at this very point. And if you are yet to watch that very video on the aspect of the various misconceptions, please do well to check it out. Because you can't talk about stigmatization without misconception. Misconception is that root upon which the fruit of stigmatization is born. Having said this, let's jump into the discussion of today, which is stigmatization in psychiatry. Stigmatization is just simply put an attached name, feature, or description to a person that makes this very person or individual to be isolated, ostracized, or separated from the larger community, the larger society. So when we say stigmatization in psychiatry, we simply mean those names, those features, those descriptions that are attached to an individual, group of persons, or a society that makes them feel hated, isolated, and ostracized from the larger community. What are those possible causes that could make someone to be stigmatized in psychiatry? So we have the aspect of the intellectual challenges, we have the health related challenges, and we have the morphology of this very individual. These three dimensions can actually cause stigmatization towards the mentally challenged. Now, let's pick the first one, which is the intellectual aspect. Know that mental illness, it affects the mind. The intellectual aspect boils around the ability of this individual to make good judgment, to perceive things the way they are, to have his senses intact, his ability to make good judgment, as I earlier said, his ability to function normally in terms of the intellectual capacity of this person. So, we have what we call conduct disorder, calculation disorder, we have what we call speech disorders, and a whole lot of them. Individuals who have challenges in this very realm, either in the aspect of calculation, in the aspect of childhood disorders, and so on, they may have challenge intellectually. Hence, it predisposes them to be stigmatized by other persons. The second dimension, which is the health state, there is what we call dual diagnosis and multiple diagnosis, which would be as a result of mental health challenge alongside medical challenges. So these persons, just like other persons, because they have mental illness, doesn't stop them from having other medical challenges. Medical challenges, yeah. So, what are we saying in essence? The mentally ill can also have malaria. For instance, they can have hypertension, they can have diabetes. So, because they have the various health challenges, doesn't mean that there is something abnormal about them, and hence they should be ostracized, they should be isolated from the larger community. They need our love. Already, it's a challenge for them. They are not happy with themselves. That's why a couple of them may be contemplating suicide because people have isolated them. People have made them feel unwanted. So please, what are we saying? Know that they can also suffer health related challenges. The third one has to do with morphology, which is the body shape of that individual, the size of that individual. Every other person out there could either be tall, short, have the shape of mouth different, shape of body, and so on. This shouldn't give the grounds for persons who are actually having either body dysmorphia should be ostracized by the larger community. With all this being said, are there dangers to them? Yes, stigmatization has a lot of danger. An instance is isolation. People can isolate them. From this isolation, they can get depressed. With the onset of depression, with the advent of depression, with the presence of depression, this individual can contemplate suicide. And with suicide, death can actually occur. So, what are we saying in essence? A couple of them too may be unresponsive to treatment because anything they do, they say, this very illness have started again. Oh. It's like that your koi have started again. It's like you are no longer normal again. Go and see your doctor. Let's be going, let's be going. This may make them feel unwanted. Hence, they will not respond well to management or to therapy. And also, they will withdraw themselves from others, especially when you keep driving that energy of stigmatization towards them. They will not want to associate. They will rather prefer to keep to themselves. All right. So, how then do we manage this very challenge of stigmatization? Education cannot be overemphasized. There have to be health education, constant health awareness in the churches, in the mosques, in the schools, but at all levels of the academic system, whether primary, secondary, tertiary institutions, and so on. There needs to be that continuous awareness created. And that's why we are here on this very platform talking about this. Then there should also be the role of um, the government in the sense that they'll put food centers to be able to manage persons suffering from mental illness, and then with the psychological education given to them and therapy given to them, they can be able to also manage the oncoming or the stigmatization that comes along with mental illness. Government policies, legislation should be given and should be strict so that the rights, privileges, and the uniqueness of these very persons can be preserved so that people don't just trample on them. Their rights will not just be override. All right? And then we could also have counseling as a role to play, whereby people who are suffering from stigmatization can actually enroll for therapy. The last one, which we'll talk about, which is incorporation of donor agencies to support this individual, either to be able to set up business or enroll them on various vocations and so on. So having said this, I believe you have actually learned something. Just in case there are other forms of stigmatization towards the mentally challenged that we have not mentioned, please do well to also state it down in that comment box. And I look forward to that moment where this very channel becomes your most favorite click. But for now, stay safe.